Sorcerers! Josh here. And yeah, I'm going to talk about those sirs again. I didn't really want to talk about it again, but I've had a lot of interesting conversations. And I thought, let's go back and actually talk about these sirs and one dame who are marked as unique, but are printed at the same level as any elite in the set. So looking at those cards, what Eric's Curiosa did was made them more available to improve the play experience. That's good. We want a good play experience. It's very cool that when they built this set, they were thinking about draft, and they're like, you know what would be awesome? If all these knights were available to you and you could play a cool knight, and there was a whole bunch of them in a box, like 10 of them in a box or 12 of them in a box. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be really flavorful and fun and tell a great story? Yes. Perfect. And then they had to make a decision. Well, they're named, so they have to be unique. And that's where the trouble came in. Now, I think that this could have been just fine. But there were a few things that made it so that it didn't work out the way everyone had hoped. And so there's a lot of people who are very disappointed with this particular decision. So for those of us who've been around, who've been playing the game, who've been loving it, the small, dedicated fan base, when we hear unique, that means not only how that impacts how the card can be played and used in your deck, but also how collectible and rare that card is. Those two things were married. All right. So that's what we were thinking. A unique is this. It represents a playability and rarity. That's it. That's what it is. Eric's Curiosa decided to break that off. That is okay. To make a unique more available. I don't have a problem with that if they had done one thing. Announce it. Just like with the announcement of 5030 that was kind of tucked in at the top, it was unexpected. And in the case of the 5030 announcement, it was just kind of this tiny blurb at the top of a big announcement, and there wasn't any more in-depth discussion about it. And that really needed to be discussed. There really needed to be, in my opinion, an in-depth article with the developers or whoever explaining, this is our thought, this is why we're doing this. Something like that would have really mitigated some of that controversy, at least I think. You're always going to have people that are going to be upset, but if you get ahead of that controversy, you know it's going to be a decision that some people aren't going to like. So let's get ahead of it. Let's talk about it. Let's provide information. It's the same thing with these sirs and the dame. If we had even, and I think with the sirs and dames, they could have got away with that tiny blurb like they did with the 5030 change. And I think that could have been a very short little announcement at the top or middle of something that said, while playtesting this set, we thought that it would be really awesome if when you're playing in limited formats, you could get these cards and it'd be really fun to play with and they'd create a great story. And obviously, because of the theme of the set, we want these to be very available to you. So we are going to make some uniques and we're going to separate the rarity. You say that. Just announce it. This is what we're going to do. We're going to separate, for the first time in the history of sorcery, the idea that a unique has both this playability and rarity connected. We're going to break that off for the purpose of enjoying the set, for the purpose of making the set more flavorful, and for the purpose of making sure that the play experience, especially the draft experience, is very enjoyable. And if you make that announcement, if you get ahead and you say that and you explain that, I mean, that's a paragraph. That is not a whole lot that you need to announce. I don't think we need to go into some huge in-depth conversation like you would with the deck change to 50-30. That's a big change. That's a huge impact. Making this change to certain cards and saying, look, it's just due to the flavor in order to make the playing with the set enjoyable, I think you can get away with that much easier, but it's very important that it's communicated. It needs to be communicated up front. It needs to be communicated well before people are buying and not pre-selling, but, you know, pre-ordering boxes, doing all of those things. And, you know, we're expecting this. If they know that, hey, up front, you need to beware. And you don't have to say which cards it is. Eric's Curiosa likes the mystery. They like that. That's fine. You don't even have to say that. Just say, there are some cards in the set that are unique, that are going to be printed much more than a standard unique has in the past. That's all you have to say, right? I mean, you give the little explanation about playability and that, and making it fun, but you don't have to give us the card list. You can still let us discover that and figure out which of these Sirs and the Dame are much more available, and therefore their collectability is somewhat less because they're more available. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we need to know it up front. And that seems to be the thing that so far I feel like I've encountered with Eric's Curiosa and Sorcery, is that things are not said up front. And getting ahead of some of these things, I think, could really mitigate some of the controversy. And that's what I'm hoping in the future that we see, is that as they learn with their small team, they are like, you know what? We do need to think about these things. We need to get ahead of them a little. We can make it so that these things are less controversial by providing a little bit of information. And we don't have to give it all away, because you don't. But give enough to let it simmer, let people contemplate it, and make a decision. And then I think there wouldn't be, you know, some of the people who are really upset with how this has played out. Now, me personally, I'm okay with it from the perspective of, now I know. And I wouldn't have had a problem if I had known before that this was going to be a thing. Because as someone who's been playing since alpha, I had that expectation of what a unique is. And then it didn't happen. And yeah, so in my opening videos, I call them fake uniques or dishonorable sirs or whatever. But I say that just to designate that these are something different. It's not because I'm angry about the change or actually upset that they decided to do this. It's fine. Would I prefer some type of designation on the card? Yeah, but being a guy who played a ton of the Star Wars CCG by Decipher, we didn't have any of that fun stuff. We had no idea what was rare or uncommon. There was no helping you. It was just, yeah, you open the pack, and Han Solo's rare. Han Solo is rare. So if you see Han Solo, but man, you get something else, you don't know. You don't know that these weird cards are rare or not. So I understand why maybe Eric himself wanted to kind of bring some of that back, doing this with the uniques. Maybe that's part of what played into it. But we're in a place where all card sets now designate rarity. It's fine to go back to that. But again, let's communicate it up front. Let's say, hey, we're going to break what a unique means in Arthurian Legends. We may do it in the future. We may return to where they're back together. And just say that. Announce it. You don't have to give us a card list. You don't have to say which cards. None of that stuff. But that's what I think Sorcery and Eric's Curiosa needs to do more than anything else. give us a little bit of communication, and not necessarily through the Discord, but something on the website. You know, they've been making some really nice pages now promoting Arthurian Legends on the website. You can go to the website. Here's this big announcement in the news section. Very nice. That's what I want to see more of. And once we get to set 3, obviously, we're going to go up to 60-40. We all know that. Or at least, maybe we won't. Who knows? Maybe they'll decide it's not big enough. But presumably, we go to 60-40 with set 3, which is fine. But, and you know, the problem with that one is, have we passed the opportunity? We know it's going to happen, so do we need to go into the discussion? Especially since we're going to have a whole year of 50-30, and it's going to be fine. Because I do think 50-30 is fine. This new card pool, 50-30 is fine. I really don't, you know. Yes, the game's going to be high variance. That's something we have to understand. This is what we want with or that's what Eric wants with Sorcery. High variance, cool stories. You got to expect that. But when we get to the next set, the third set, whatever it is, if there's something odd like this that they're going to change or going to manipulate, I don't know, you're adding a 5th element. They're not going to add a 5th element, but just something, some big change like that where you're breaking a preconceived notion. Telegraph it a little bit. That's all I'm asking for. If I'm wrong, well, you can say it in the comments. In any case, I hope you're enjoying Arthurian Legends. I do really love the set. The art's great. The card pool's small. That's unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. I still think it's a great addition to Sorcery. I think there are a lot of great cards. I think it's going to really enhance the play of the game. Looking forward to doing some drafts with Arthurian Legends and seeing how that plays out. Hope you all are too. Hope you're all going to play this game and enjoy it the way it's meant to be. I do appreciate the collectability side, but at the end of the day, let's play the game. So, keep on contesting the realm, and I'll talk to you all later.